Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, how OpenAI's new policy blueprint for AI imagines the role of government. And a top Biden cyber official says the Trump administration should focus on cyber rules, grants, and international partnerships. It's Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dig into today's top headlines. OpenAI is releasing an artificial intelligence infrastructure blueprint meant to highlight its vision for American AI, which the company argues will boost productivity and jumpstart advanced technology development. The release of the blueprint, which was viewed by FedScoop and was set to be presented in Washington yesterday, comes as the Biden administration continues to push for government support for data centers, artificial intelligence, and semiconductors. At the same time, the government's approach to AI is still taking shape, and companies like OpenAI are using the opportunity to advocate for policies that would make way for infrastructure and energy projects that would benefit them. The blueprint states that AI presents an unmissable opportunity to reindustrialize the U.S. and through that generate the kind of broad-based economic growth that will revitalize the American dream. It also presents a national security imperative to protect our nation and our allies against a surging China by offering an AI shaped by democratic values, promoting individual choice, and benefiting the most people possible. The company's outlined approach imagines an aggressive role for the U.S. government in promoting the technology's development, particularly around infrastructure. 5 policy priorities are outlined, including AI economic zones established by both states and the federal government focused on constructing energy systems meant to power AI. In other news, on the same day that outgoing President Joe Biden met with President-elect Donald Trump to discuss the transition, a top White House cyber official made some recommendations for early cyber priorities for the incoming administration. In its first 100 days, the Trump administration should build a framework for minimum cybersecurity standards for critical infrastructure companies, establish cybersecurity grants for those in need, and deepen international partnerships. Those are the words of Anne Neuberger, Biden's Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emerging Technology. She offered those suggestions at an event Wednesday hosted by the Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs, in what she called the bipartisan tradition of cybersecurity, having received the baton from the prior administrations and passing it on in a world of threats heavily dominated by China, ransomware, and artificial intelligence. Neuberger said, quote, "As we think about what the administration has done in each of those areas, we've learned a lot about what's worked, what hasn't worked," adding that the idea is to share what we learned on both sides. And there is some indication that there will be bipartisan continuity ahead on the issue of minimum cybersecurity standards, the lone topic in the 2024 Republican platform referencing cyber. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.